Hey, what's up, everybody? You're tuned in for another episode of Against.The.Galaxy podcast. I'm here with three of my boys. We couldn't all make it, but I still got a couple studs with me. I got Mike,
What's going on?
I got Nikki,
Hey, what's up?
and Nick's here with us.
What's up, guys?
Eric couldn't make us, but he's staying at home and he'll learn a lot from this podcast, even though he wasn't quite here with us. A lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about here, we talked about with him. Stuff that's come up in our testing and, just different stuff about our group chat. So hopefully we won't miss him too much and we'll try to make sure that he's here for the next one. Shout out to all of our social media. We got Instagram against_the_galaxy, not across like Bobby Sapphire keeps saying. It is against the galaxy. Twitter and X, we got the thing right there. FFG has left Twitter. We have not. You can still follow us there. Discords, everybody's Discord is listed. Feel free to reach out to any of us. If you have any questions about the podcast, stuff you want answered, stuff you got questions about what we're doing, feel free to reach out. We're men of the people and we're more than willing to help anybody out who's got some questions. Start out, we're going to talk about the winning deck list from not Paris, from Lille. Looks like a knucklehead made this deck and just kind of wrote something quick, but it's Sabine again. After I took down Richmond, we got Sabine taking down the first regionals immediately after. Looks like Sabine's here to stay, but as a Sabine player, this looks nothing like anything that I would like to play. Data Vault seems weird. The deck seems weird, but the guy won a huge tournament, so I can only judge so far. What do you guys think about this deck? Just like first reactions.
I'm confused. It's like everything that we know about current Sabine is just like thrown out the window, but also like melded with this new like mid-rangey strategy. I'd assume
Yeah.
a lot of testing went into this though. Maybe it has some better matchups into maybe the mirror since you have more health. I don't know. I would have to really test it and you know get into it to figure out what's actually going on here. But
In all of the testing that I've seen, it looks like this deck's actually terrible in the mirror, which really throws a wrench in me trying to understand what we're trying to accomplish. Like I said, the guy took down a huge tournament. I mean, was it Richmond was around 600? This was around 800. So that's a big jump up. It was a huge tournament, and the guy did real well. Deck does some interesting stuff for sure.
I think one of the most interesting things about it, as we talked about last week, Will, is the absence of all of the swords. We're missing
Yeah,
Darksaber, we're missing Chewbacca, and we're missing Luke's. So the
yeah,
mirror that we talked about and what you're testing, you have no ability to go tall and then make your Rebel Assault cheat actions very effective and strong. You do get the extra base health, which helps. You do get Frisk, which is interesting because it does knock off other upgrades, so maybe that's the tech for the mirror to try to get a Luke off because it can defeat a 2-cost upgrade, but I don't know. Very interesting.
yeah.
You're definitely trying to slam a lot of units and just kind of keep going with it, but I think the power of ECL might make it just not correct, but right for this tournament.
The third timely does seem like it's trying to replace the ECL, and you're just gonna get there that way. But I mean, with the extra 10 cards, you're not seeing timely as often. I mean, there were plenty of games that I wanted both my timelies and my ECL, and I don't think that you're necessarily going to get all three timelies in your 60 card deck too often. One other thing I noticed about this deck is that despite the lack of pilots, it's very space heavy, especially as it gets to like the middle top end. It still has its pros and wreckers, but I mean, between Radis, Senatorial Corvette, and the Adelphis, and Red Fives, and Blue Leaders, like this has a lot of space units.
Every time I look at this list, just something else pops out to me, right? Um, I mean, when Nikki and I had first looked at it on Sunday, we were very confused about the Radis and wondering kind of what it was there for, with Poe being the only resistance unit in the 70 here. Um, but the more I look at it, it's like it's got the same like early game plan that Sabine does usually with the ECL version, where you got your Sabine Wren units and your Battlefield Marines, you get your Rebel Assaults. But then it like in the late game looks like it wants to turn into something that can go toe to toe with some of like Kira's late game. Like the Radis kind of looks like it's interesting into like an Avenger. Like if they Avenger into your Radis, you kill the Radis dies to the Avenger, and then you kill the Avenger with the 8 power on the trigger. So it's a very interesting list, and I mean it's probably worth testing, but I know the metas can be very different between us here in the United States and over there in Europe.
I don't know. The other thing I'm really confused about is just Rebel Assault in this deck. Like it looks like you're throwing haymakers, not trying to like eke out an advantage. So I'm just really confused about the efficacy of Rebel Assault here. I will say Foracause is stronger in this deck, despite being, 60 cards. There's only timelies as non-heroic cards pre-board. So you Foracause for 4 pretty often. And when you're not, you hit it timely, and you want to find that timely anyway. So that's a pretty good spot to be in, I guess. But again, like in a deck where I want to jam giant units, I don't know that I want to be playing for a cause. Like, what is 4 damage when I have 7/7s to drop, or you know what I mean? Like, I have giant things that I'm trying to put down. I will say Adelphi has stood out to me the most. That's a card I went back on. I think there's a decent chance that we'll get into it in a minute, but the PQ this weekend, Adelphi is something that I've been testing recently, and I think it might end up sneaking into the ECL version. It's a card I was impressed with before and continue to be impressed with, just big ships. It's a good answer to some of the bigger stuff.
Something that I also think is pretty important to note, and we've been talking about it in our internal testing, is like taking this deck list and like maybe changing it to a slightly bigger leader like Anakin could have some merit too, because
Yeah.
you're kind of moving away from the super aggro shell with Sabine, and if like you said, if you don't think leaning on Rebel Assault is where you need to be, your leader doesn't really need to be a rebel, and you could play Anakin, who
Yeah.
just hits hard and can close out games real quick.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
so maybe that's something to look at too.
I like Anakin here. I might even try Han too. Just being able to play these guys a little bit cheaper might be pretty good. Some of the units obviously don't work with it. You can't do Phoenix A-Wing or Ketsu or some of the other stuff. But I mean, just playing stuff ahead of curve would probably be pretty good too. But I totally agree. I think most Star Wars decks are built around having a really impactful flip turn. And this deck does not feel like it has an impactful flip turn at all. I mean, the only thing that we're doing on 4 is K2, and or we're casting a 3-drop plus Rebel Assault. Like, I mean, it's just it doesn't feel like where I'd want to be. But I can only talk so much because the guy did take down a massive tournament, and that's always going to be worth something. You know what I mean? This will be something in Vegas. It'll definitely be interesting to see how Galactics plays out because there's only one Worlds. You know what I mean? So the European meta might come over here. You know what I mean? We might see. I don't think we'd see a 50-50 split, but I could definitely see a lot of this European meta making its way to Worlds, and it'll be interesting to see. Not not directly a USA versus Europe Galactic Championships, but in a sense, we're going to see, you know what I mean? Because I don't think that they're going to adjust, and I don't think that we're going to adjust. I think that we're just going to play what we play because we think it's how you play Star Wars, and the different styles is definitely going to be interesting to see at Worlds.
Yeah, for sure.
So next we got to talk about our boy, maybe not our boy, but definitely somebody that all of us have liked and interacted with plenty of times, Pasquale, getting his bye, winning the tabletop planetary qualifier with this Ray Green list. And this is a fun list. This looks interesting to me. If I was going to play Dadable, I think I'd be more on this than the Sabine list. This seems like I got 60 cards because I want to just keep jamming more cool stuff into it, as opposed to playing a weird deck. The late flip on Ray. Ray is a super powerful leader when she gets to flip, or even before it, just like growing some of these units into, actual monsters. This is a deck that in my testing, I've played it a couple times. I've done fine, but I can definitely see that there's a ton of fear. This deck is strong. It's got a good game into a lot of different stuff, and obviously Pasquale took that to the bank and cashed in. Um, you guys were at this for PQ. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this list was very interesting when he told me that he was on it. I had to do a double take. Um, had told we discussed it a little bit. He told me that he really liked it into Kira, and it kind of proved that he went 6-1 versus Kira all day, only dropping one game in the finals to Kira. And I kind of agree. I mean, I've been testing it a little bit. This deck is very resilient to the blue green villain control decks. Not sure how
Yeah,
it is into like a Bosk, like a harder control, or and I know that he was kind of scared about the Sabine matchup, but the deck just kind of works, and it's funny that it does.
It's
I'll tell you
also
this.
interesting to note that Pasquale afterwards said that he felt like the Sabine matchup was only really difficult when they were sticking swords. And he had
Hmm.
mentioned that he had confiscates in the board like up until the morning of and then cut them. I don't remember what he had mentioned switching them to. But if that's really all you're worried about, just bring in a couple confiscates, either stick them in the side or, get spicy and stick a confiscate or two in the main. And that should shore up the Sabine matchup with all of your restore already there.
I mean, he's also got access to three entrenched. That's a card you guys love. I won't have to get into that too much, but that's one way to beat a sword. I had a game today. I was actually playing against this deck, and I put the Chewbacca on an A-Wing, and then he threw an entrenched on it. It was like, I guess I have a giant thing, and he can't really play space, but at the same time, it doesn't exactly act like the sword I want it to be.
You also have the 3 copies of Traitorous in here, so sometimes you can even sort up your guy and then look, it's mine, and that can also be a big swing in
Yeah,
the game. So he has definitely
exactly.
a lot to play through the swords. So I could see that being the reason for the reduction of the confiscates.
And that showed when he won his match in top four against Sabine. So definitely have
Yeah.
play into that matchup.
The other thing that's kind of interesting, I mean, as far as Data Vault decks are concerned, he's playing Fleet Lieutenant and Sabine wasn't. It's kind of an interesting thing. He's got enough of a rebel package, and I love Fleet Lieutenant. It's one of my favorite cards. I'm surprised Sabine didn't play it. That's kind of what I was saying about not really being able to push the aggro plan and push the rebel assault plan, but he's playing it. Maybe he needs rebel assaults too. I mean,
I think the Fleet Lieutenant is actually really sneaky. Um, it acts kind of as an Anakin in this deck when you have the R2D2 and C3POs. You can play one of those
yeah,
units. You can, like, if you play an R2 on one, put the experience counter on it. Now it's a 2/5, which is already a threatening butt as it is. And then it Fleet Lieutenants into something and kills a 4 toughness unit on turn 2. And you get the 3 drop that sticks around with Fleet Lieutenant that we love in Sabine. Like, there's just a lot of interesting lines that open up with Fleet Lieutenant.
yeah,
I think it's a really sneaky card in this deck.
for sure, for sure. I think Sabine should have played it, but only allowed to criticize that list so much.
The Fleet Lieutenant feels pretty good at like most points of the game, like early game push damage, late game top deck, and kind of push through the last like 5 or so damage you need to get. So I've been really impressed with Fleet Lieutenant in this list with my testing.
Yeah, so this is what I played this weekend at the tabletop gaming planetary qualifier. Didn't go as well as I was hoping. I ended up with a 4-3 record, but overall, I was pretty happy with the deck. My three losses were to two blue green control mirrors. One of them was a Saj, and then one of them was Kira. And then my other loss was to a Vader pilot yellow, which just swarmed out the board. That was a tough one. But I think I would make a few changes to this list before I run it back, and I'm probably gonna play this again this upcoming weekend. So I'll definitely have to look into that. Um, a couple of the interesting cards to note were the perimeter ATRT.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
one I was just looking at.
yeah, on face value, the card doesn't look great. I mean, it's a 4 mana 3/5 that has Sentinel, and that is a replacement for Childston because this deck has a really high green count, and the green cards are really good. So you don't often want to be resourcing them, which means your chills then will come down as a 4/4, and a 3/5 is a better body because it can survive through, the ping plus Tarkin Town and other um breakpoints that can get to 4 but can't get to 5 as easily. The card was okay. I played it against the Bean, I think, in one or two of my games. It did its job. I really like the Phase 3 Dark Trooper a lot. That one was pretty
Yeah.
impressive. I was trying out a Lam Pike on the weekend because I was missing a little bit of the smuggle. That was some tech I got from Woo. Um, I don't know really how I felt about it. I didn't see it a lot, but I would consider playing it again. If there's a card to get trimmed, it would probably be that. Um, and then I might make some changes to the sideboard. Like I saw a lot of blue green control this past weekend, so maybe I want the third Devastator in the board or the second Annihilator, just more top end.
Is there any merit to your lacking consistency with all these two ofs in a 60 card deck? Like a lot of the Kira decks that I've seen just kind of seem to like fill out their previous two ofs. That way they kind of can maintain some sort of consistency. I know you can't go more than 6 ramp spells, but do you think that maybe like something like the Long Pike loses a little bit because you just never see it, or some of the no good to be dead, or not no good, no glory only results only having two instead of just the third out of 60? Do you think that that's something that's impacted you?
Maybe. I mean, there's some two ofs that have felt right, and then some of them that maybe do need to go back up to three. The two Death Trooper and two Phase 3 Dark Trooper, I think those are in a good spot because they both serve a similar role. You're going to pull them off Vader and you're going to be pretty happy about it. And if you see them outside of that, they'll have some use case, but they won't be the best. Um,
Sure.
like you said, the Lom Pike, maybe that needs to go. I could see wanting a third Fell. The third No Glories in the board, and I've been pretty happy with that. I'm not overly keen on just playing Vanquish, so when you're not getting the additional upside from No Glory, it's not the best card, but when you get to kill a K2 with it, or when you get to kill a chewied up ship, that card's insane. So I want the
Yeah,
third post board
absolutely.
in a lot of matchups, but pre board maybe not. And then the top end, two Devastator, two Avenger. I have so many draws to find those cards that I don't think I need the third copies of them, at least in the main
Makes
deck.
sense.
Like I was saying, maybe I want the third Devastator in the sides just because it's such an impactful card in the mirrors. But that's kind of my take on some of the two ofs.
It makes sense. Mike, you're probably going to be playing Sabine again this weekend, right? Is this a deck you're scared of facing?
Um, I'm not overly scared of Cure Data Vault. I think we have a positive matchup into it. I am scared of this list more because of the additional Sentinels, and especially as Nikki was talking about this protected ATRT. I can't ECL my K2SO into it and kill it out of the way. So that 5 toughness is very important, I think, in that matchup specifically. So if you're looking to hedge more into Sabine, I would suggest trying to get the third one of those in there. But I'm not sure. I have struggled against it. There's definitely draws in this deck that can absolutely wreck you. But Data Vault is great when it's great, but when it messes up your mulligans and you don't see what the cards that they need, Sabine has a good chance of just running it over.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in playing the minimum amount of cards, and I don't think that 3 life would be enough to sway me otherwise. But a lot of good players on this deck, I guess. I mean, a lot of good players on Data Vault altogether. So maybe there's some merit to some of this other stuff, especially if there's ways to kind of reduce the variance that you get increased by just having more card draw and more redundancy.
Yeah, it's actually much more impactful than like just having three extra health on face value. I won't get into it like super deep, but I know a lot of people have talked about it, and I think Bobby Sapphire did a video for the KTOD. Um, that extra 3 life is actually just preventing your opponent from putting you in check earlier. So if you get me up to 26 and have a 4 power attacker, I have to either be able to deal with that this turn or claim. Where having 33 allows me to continue playing this turn, use up all my resources, use all my actions, go into next turn knowing I'm safe. Obviously in this scenario, assuming I'm not
Yeah,
playing against the deck with surprise strike or something, but um
yeah,
that 3 extra life actually gives you a lot more room to play with, and it's not just like oh, if I win a game at 31, Data Vault's so good. It will give you a lot more value than you can see sometimes.
I mean, realistically, the early turns against Sabine, I'm gonna hit you for three. You know what I mean? On turn two. Maybe it's five if I have my fleet lieutenant or I have a wing leader. Best case scenario, it's six, but I mean, three is kind of the unit of damage, and especially early in the game, that's kind of the best I can hope for in a turn. So it's almost like giving an entire extra turn, even though it's not an extra turn later. Definitely, you extend the game and you get to your super powerful end game.
I think Data Vault is one of those cards that is going to just continuously get better as we get more sets. We're going to continuously get cards that kind of power creep what we've had previously and be better versions, like No Glory Only Results, being potentially just a better Vanquish. If you wanted, you could just jam all six in your Data Vault deck, and you're going to see it even at a higher rate than you would if you were just playing 50 cards instead of 60. So
Sure.
I'm very high on Data Vault. Getting there, I'm not sure if we're over that hump yet, just because I have seen the variants help me in a lot of my Sabine matchups.
Yeah.
However, I do think it's a card to put on watch. And if there is a deck that can really take advantage of that extra action or two that it provides by giving you that 3 life with reducing the variance as much as possible, I think that is going to be one of the stronger decks in the format.
It'll be interesting to see how the meta plays out forward with a little bit more variance in our games and games that go a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're there already. We've seen basically every deck that played green in the past is now getting tried out with Data Vault, up to and including Sabine. And maybe that's an outlier, but like Kira Data Vault, Ray Data Vault, Han Data Vault, like everyone is trying this card, and it is really proving to be pretty impactful. It was within the top two bases played at Lille, and I don't remember if it was like second or third, but it was within the top three of bases played at Richmond. It's showing up in numbers, and I think, like you said, it can only get better as we have more sets um, that we have access to. By set six, we'll have a full 6 sets of card pool, which is the most that you can have in Premiere. And then even going out farther, if whatever the Eternal format is going to look like, we'll have plenty of sets in there to make Data Vault real good.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Data Vault just got printed in set 4, so it will be around to see the 3 sets prior, and then it'll get to see the 3 new sets that may have even more powerful cards than we got in sets 1, 2, and 3. Nick, you want to talk about your deck from this weekend? This is Will's list. Do you want to talk about the changes that you made and why you changed them and the success that you found this weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't make many changes, honestly. I think the only changes I really made were I took the Bright Hopes out of the sideboard, and I can't remember exactly what I threw in there, but I definitely took the Metal Ceremonies out. Didn't feel like I needed that card as much as Will was swearing by it. Um,
Quinlan's dead. It's okay.
yeah.
Now that Quinlan's dead, we can get rid of the metal ceremonies. We can fade off of it. But if he rears his ugly head, or when next set comes out and everybody's got force throw, promise you we're back on metals.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, list is pretty tight. I think I rocked with the extra Dark Saber and an extra Green Squadron A-Wing in place of those Metal Ceremonies in the main board. Um, kind of got into some unfortunate matchups. I went 4-3. Round one we got paired against Cad Tarkentown, and that's a very tough matchup for Sabine. I think my game one I missed rescuing a second unit from Cad main attack, and that cost me the game because he had the waylay for my other guy with my fleet lieutenant in hand. So definitely could have played a little cleaner there, but other than that, it's just probably the best deck. I mean, at least the best aggro deck. It's like a toss up for me right now between this and Kira. Both of those decks are putting up a lot of results. Um, and yeah, I just felt pretty good on it. Even for a person who doesn't play that much aggro, I usually tend to lean towards mid range and soft control. So
Was there anything that you felt that you learned through our like testing of it internally that you didn't quite understand before you played this weekend and after?
yeah, I think when I've been playing this deck in the past, I've really kind of been not as smart with my ECLs. I think something I've learned within our testing with you and Will is that different matchups call for different times to use your energy conversion lab ability. Like in the Sabine mirror, you kind of want to use it pretty early. In the Quinlan, you kind of want to use it and get rid of their thing right away. Um, uh, I think that helped me play a little bit tighter. It definitely won me some games being able to use ECL more effectively.
Yeah, the timing the ECL is really going to decide a lot of games. I mean, you do have timely, but that forces you to play off curve. And like the difference between I want to ECL turn one and I want to save my ECL for Power Wrecker, it's not even necessarily like sometimes in Quinlan you do want to save your ECL for Wrecker because you're going to get a 2-for-1 on their flip. I mean, there's just I don't know. It's a very nuanced deck, and I'm glad you're picking up on some of the differences because once you get that, man, you're gonna get over that hump.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
we're gonna
and
get you, we're gonna get you your buy.
we're trying, we're trying. I really took another piece of advice that you gave me that I really took was the just sometimes slamming Poe without an ECL, without a timely, just like here's my Poe, can you answer it? If not, I'm just gonna run away with the game. And there were definitely situations where I just played out the Poe and like I either just had the Poe and you couldn't answer it and I won, or like I had to like eat your leader flip, right? Like Poe is just such a
Yeah,
powerful card.
yeah, absolutely. Like Nikki was talking about earlier with Data Vault making you a little bit further out of reach of check. Poe's a card that brings check really early. Being able to put Poe on the ground and they either have to claim or you get to claim and hit them for 8, it can really close the gap on a lot of games where you didn't a lot of other units wouldn't have given you quite the reach that Poe does. So just playing him without ECL is such a threat that it alters their game plan completely. I definitely had plenty of opponents just leave resources on the table because they couldn't afford to give me initiative.
Yeah, 100%.
Couple things about this, like I plan on changing for this weekend. Couple interesting Sabine tidbits that have come up. First, I was testing cutting the metal ceremonies for the seasoned fleet admiral. That card sounds great on paper, and it just does not play out the way you want it to. There's probably some matchups where it's very good. Having extra green units for Han is nice. You know what I mean? When you get to go green unit into ECL your masterpiece. But the card was too low impact, and after one stream of playing it a bunch, I decided to cut that out. My latest testing is I'm actually putting the Adelphi Patrol craft, I think is its name, into the deck, cutting the metal ceremonies, making my deck a little bit taller because of the Kira meta and being able to have a little bit of extra hard punches towards that mid game when we really need to get Kira to check. Um, we'll see. I've tested it a little bit. It definitely feels good, but it's too early to say exactly what my list is going to be this weekend.
Now we're gonna move into
All
a
right.
couple of spoilers that we have going on. Um, we first wanted to give a little context if you haven't looked at any of the spoilers yet. The set's revolving around the Force being with you. It's a Force token that's created. These are the two bases that will make your Force token. There are some other ways to make the Force token when you play certain cards. However, we've think that these bases are going to be very important in creating that Force token consistently. And we'll see how the red and yellow bases also change how we get the Force token, or if it's a consistent 28 to
I,
have an on-attack
I
trigger.
believe I believe we've been told that because these are the common bases that all 4 are going to be the same. They're going to be 28 health, and when a force unit attacks, the force is with you.
So here are some cards that interact very well with that part of the bases. So for a blue card, a 3-mana 3/5, we've talked about those stats being very important. And Ezra's just a great card outside of that. The on attack trigger, giving an experience token to another creature or specter, can definitely be very powerful and change a lot of math. It's Force, Jedi, Rebel, Specter. It's got all the important traits on it. Um, and Obi-Wan Kenobi was another important 3-mana 3/5 in that green color. And when you play a Force unit, it getting Sentinel can definitely be a better way to get a Sentinel on the ground in green with better stat lines.
3-mana 3/5s have been a good size unit for the game for a long time. We've seen it with Cassian, we've seen it with a couple others, and it's a card it's going to be a relevant body. These both have relevant text boxes. I expect both of them to see play. It is worth noting that the first time I read this, I was thinking creature in the Magic terms, and I was just like, I don't even know why they specify Spectre. We're putting experience on everything, but nope, only creatures, which we don't have a ton of. But I mean, we got Porgs. Porgs are creatures, and I would expect to, if they're going to put the keyword in this set, we're probably going to see some amount of creatures that'll work well with them.
Just like the curve of going this card or Hera into this card seems kind of crazy. You get to play your 2-mana 2/3 on turn 1 with Restore 1. If if you're playing an ECL deck, even you could ECL this in, kill their turn 1 play. Now my Hera is a 3/4, and you just have complete board control. And if you don't play ECL, you just get to slam this, and then next turn your Hera is bigger, or they have to kill it. So it gives it like pseudo Sentinel. I think that curve is going to mess up a lot of people's days out of the blue hero decks, and we've already seen some of those decks playing Hera. And with the introduction of Ezra, I think it'll become more streamlined.
Will we
I
get
kinda
enough
like-
specters for the Hera Spectre deck? That's what everybody's wondering. Let's be honest. That's what everybody's wondering.
Yeah. I kind of like curving this into Kanan. You're just gonna play a Kanan, and it's like they can't answer the Ezra, then you attack and make the Kanan a 5/6. Like that's not terrible.
Pretty good.
I'm saying, go Kanan, play some ghosts, get Chopper in there. We can play whatever we want. We got Hera.
That's
Yeah, we can play whatever we want. All the cards. Let's just pay
All the
aspect.
cards.
Let's pay aspect
Before we
penalties for
move on,
events.
I do want to say that this Ezra card might be some of my favorite art in this entire game up to this point. That art looks so sick.
Yeah, that art is awesome, and I'm hoping we'll get a prestige variant for it. That would be nice.
I assume
That
we
could be
would. It's so
fun.
unique. That'll be so nice.
But they better have space whales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want Space Whale the card. Can we get a cool Space Whale? Get rid of
That would be
Ezra.
sweet.
I mean,
Give me a cool Space
he's going
Whale.
to put experience on creatures. If we go just based on the lore, he definitely put some experience on some Purgils in the show and kind of bonded with them. I mean, I think that's what they're going for here. Let's cross our fingers. And how
He's
about the
also
space
in-
whale could also be a capital ship? That way Piet can discount it.
He's
It
also
can
an
go to
uncommon.
hyperspace. It's a capital ship.
Here are two other cards that I think are important. I think Jedi Consular is very important in cheating on resources when you have the Force. Obviously, we saw with the green base, if we attack with it the first turn that it's down, if we have a way to protect it, and then we can play a card on turn 4 that costs 6, that can be very impactful to the game. And then Marin also having the Force trait, having a really good on attack trigger is really good if you are playing a control deck that can dump cards like a boss deck. This might change a little bit of math in that, so another card that I was kind of looking at.
Also super interested in Marin in a deck like Kylo that wants to discard its cards, and the fact that you're turning every card into a free shock is pretty good, especially if you're trying to get that hand down to 0. That way Kylo's max power.
It'll be important to also keep an eye on Jedi Counselor. If we get any cards that are like one resource, create your force, do something very small. It could be, just some kind of cantrip that creates the force, or anything of the sort, if you can go Jedi Counselor on 1 into whatever 1 mana card on 2 and then play a 4-drop, that could just swing the game right there.
I think the fact that the common bases allow you to get the force repeatedly. I mean, they've already told us that you can't have the force more than once, but it allows you to get it repeatedly. I think that we're going to have outlets to use the force, and those outlets are going to be good because they do require setup. Maybe not all of them, but definitely some of them. So, if there is that card that you're talking about, whether it's a shock with Gain the Force or it's a draw card, Gain the Force, whatever it may be, that card could be super important just for countless reasons, not even the Jedi Counselor reason.
Yeah, I kind of like that these are like the rarities on these is like really great. Like these are good effects for commons and uncommons. That makes it feel more like I don't know. Sometimes with like games like Magic: The Gathering, where you have your more powerful effects are locked at like rares and mythic rares. Sometimes those cards can be expensive, and not that there are not expensive cards in Star Wars Unlimited, but some of these effects being on uncommons makes it like super nice for trying to get them.
Very
You know.
accessible.
Yeah, so moving on to some of the more impactful but possibly niche cards, we have Grogu and Darth Malik. Um, Grogu is a 3 mana 1/6 that has hidden, and then his action is you can tap him and play an it binds all things ability, heal up to 2 damage from a unit, and then deal that much damage to a unit. One place that I immediately thought to use this was with Han 2, was you can play this on turn 1 as a 1/4 with hidden, and then immediately next turn move that damage to someone else. I think that could be an insanely strong start in that deck and something to definitely keep an eye on. And then Darth Malik, it got spoiled with Revan, or like right after Revan. So it's clear that they have an idea there, but just having a 5 resource 4/7 that can enter play untapped gives you a lot of reach right there in that early game.
Yeah, that 4/7 body is just really strong in this game that we play. The fact that you can't be hit by Fell the Dragon, you can't be hit by Takedown, it creates an interesting spot where the opponent really has to search for answers for it. And like you said, if you do, kind of like you get that Boba's Fet's Fire Spray effect, where if you had Boba, it'd be ready. Like if you have a Sith leader, it's a little bit more of a loose restriction than just a Boba Fett. But being able to just play this and attack for 4, that's a powerful, powerful move. Grogu looks good too. We'll see how that kind of stuff plays out. I'm not the biggest fan of things that take a lot of actions to do your cool thing, and Grogu does seem like that. But I mean, Han too. That's a good use for it. And then obviously there will be a bunch of 2 damages that you can heal from units across your board, even after you heal the 2 from himself. So being able to repeatedly shock things, probably pretty strong.
I think that we're getting a lot more stronger combos in terms of cards, and I think if you're going to burn a lot of actions, constantly shocking your opponent's board with Grogu is going to be very strong. It's just hero, so we can find some different ways to play it with Han 2. I know typically it's been red-green, but if there's some other important force cards or things that we want specifically, Grogu can be very good in a lot of different decks with Han 2.
I would say this is going to be one of the first decks that I want to try to build when this set comes out, is some Han 2 shell with Grogu in it, because I think that synergy is going to be pretty overpowered.
Yeah, first deck I'm thinking about is still that Kylo Ren deck with the discard guy. I just feel like being super, super, super aggro might be good into this like slow, dirtily meta where people are going to take 30 actions to do some stuff. But hey, shocking kills most of the guys in Kylo, so maybe that's good against it. I don't know. It's going to be fun to see a new set, especially with such limited time going into Vegas. There's going to be so many fun ideas to try and not a lot of time to do it.
Well, you want to play an aggro deck? I've never known you to play aggro.
I think that there's a world where I'm not gonna play aggro. I mean, this is my roots when it comes down to it. as a Magic player, I was the burn guy for years. Like people would sit it down across from me and just know I'm playing burn. I want to get them dead. I want to have time in between rounds. I want to talk to my friends. I want to go grab a snack. I don't have the mental capacity to sit there for 55 minutes every round and then just start another one like some of these Kara players do.
Yeah, baby.
I also don't hate this Grogu in like a Ray deck. You just turn into like a 3/8. That's kind of hot.
Yeah, for sure. He's going to be really hard to get off the board.
Yeah, and he can't be attacked the turn he comes in too. So it's like you need exactly. I mean, he dodges Fell the Dragon and he dodges Takedown too. So it's gonna be
He's
very hard to remove this if you curve into it. All right, next up we got the Qui-Gon Jinn unit. 7 cost in Cunning Heroism for you get a 7/5 Force Jedi Republic with Ambush. And when defeated, you may choose a non-leader ground unit. Its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their deck. This card is I would kind of compare this to like a hero version of Maul. It seems pretty good. What do you guys think?
I think this card's insane.
I think it's mid. I think I think this is a trap. And I'm willing to be wrong, but with power creep in this game, I think 7 resource plays are going to be really tough. Because as the Sabine guy, I want you dead way before this thing could possibly attack the board. It's good when it's good, but I think it's a trap. I think some of the bigger units are a trap. I think it's hard to play a good mid-range, late-game heroism deck currently, and unless we get a bunch of tools that like put it over, I'm I'm not scared of this card in any of the decks in the current meta. The only deck that kind of pops out in my mind, and I played against it at one PQ, and I can't remember the guy's name, and I'm sorry for forgetting it because he was a pretty cool dude, but he played Ray Yellow, and it was pretty good. Like I lost to it with Sabine. It did a lot of things that were just annoying enough, and this card definitely would be a slam in that deck. I don't really see that as a meta deck, so I don't. I mean, yeah, this guy is definitely going to get a new tool, and it's going to be very good for him. But I think that most decks like this, like you can't. I don't think that you can just slot this into Quinlan. I don't think it'd be very good in that. And if it is, it says a one of at the very top end, and at that point, it's just. I mean, it's another big slam. But as the Sabine player, I'd hope the game's over by this point.
I would also have to agree. I think that it looks like a 2-for-1 on its face. Like you get to 7/5 ambush, and then if it dies in that ambush, you also get to bounce something else. But if you have somebody who's going wide and your only answer is Qui-Gon Jinn, you ambush it into their biggest thing that doesn't have 5 power, and you're still getting wrecked by everything else. So while it is strong to kill some of the taller stuff, if we are in a meta that is about going wide, or in the world of Grogu 3/8s that never die, Qui-Gon Jinn is just gonna look at Grogu and get overpowered by his big booty.
I think that's definitely possible, but I think this is a good answer to a lot of the mid game threats. You know, I play my Vader, my opponent Qui-Gon Jinn's into it, kills my Vader, and then bounces another one of my guys to either the top or the bottom of my deck. Or it could be even better than that. If I'm not threatening to kill them right away, they can ambush into something with 4 attack. They get to keep their Qui-Gon, and then they have a 7 power unit just stuck there on the board that I probably have to answer because I can't get hit for 7 damage. I answer it, which either costs me a card or one of my units, and then they get to clean up another unit. This can easily be, it's easily a 2-for-1, and it has the potential to be more. I think this card's insane, and the only thing that could stop this card from being completely busted is the fact that heroes only have like one good ramp spell in resupply. I guess Spark of Hope is getting a little traction, and maybe that'll see play more. Yeah, I know from the villain side that has the 2 good ramp pieces, ramping to my 7 cost unit is so good. If that's something that heroes can match as well, this card's going to be insane.
I think it's pretty obvious who plans on playing Star Wars games to turn 7, 8, 9, 10, and who plans on ending games on turn 4, 5, and 6.
Yes, very much. I'm a mid-range control player at heart, and you are an aggro player at heart. So we just have
Yeah,
different, outlooks on some of these cards.
yeah. But it'll definitely be interesting to see how it plays out, especially in a data vault world. You know what I mean? People are trying to get to that mid to late game a little bit easier. So, I mean, this is going back to that point where data vault's going to keep getting better. It looks like with Legends of the Force, it will continue to get better.
Yeah. Here we have our other card here. This is Darth Revan, leader. Looks like just villain here. Flips on 5 as a 3/6. If I'm not mistaken, when a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may give an experience token to that friendly unit. Is also on his front side, but I believe you have to exhaust him. And then he's just a 3/6, restore 1, Force and Sith. Looks like he very clearly kind of has synergy with that Darth Malik unit we just saw. So what do you guys take? What's your takes on this leader?
I think it's bad. I think people are going to be excited to play Darth Revan because they love Darth Revan, but I think losing an entire color for a leader that's fine probably is just not worth it. I'm prepared to be wrong though.
This feels like an effect you could give me a color with, and it would still be balanced. I'm not sure why this had to be mono black. I guess we'll find out the more we get a chance to play with it if it's really much stronger than we're giving it credit for. The other units that are giving, or the other leaders, sorry, that are giving experience tokens, like Obi-Wan, you have to use the Force, and then Rey, you have to pay a resource. So doing it for free definitely feels good, but when you have to lose a color for it, and then you have to
Calling
build your
it
deck around defeating other units, I don't know.
calling it free is a bit of a stretch, I think. I mean, you still need to attack with a unit and defeat it. Like, yeah, maybe you're gonna find some stuff with ambush and big butts, but like this is not free, I don't think. I think that that's just as much work as just paying a resource because it's not necessarily easy to just kill stuff and survive all the time. A lot of times stuff is trading in this game, I feel like.
Yeah, that's valid.
I think this card's horrible. I would not ever consider building a Darth Revan deck at the moment. I think, just like Will said, this is a really real cost getting to attack something. I think if it was just if you defeat something, you can put an experience counter on your guy if you exhaust him. And the same way on the backside, I'd be a little more interested in like a hard control deck, like a blue deck with Revan that is just
Sure.
killing things with like Power of the Dark Side and constantly growing a unit. But I don't think losing an entire color, especially when our card pool is so low right now, that this will be good in our 6 set metagames. Maybe as we push towards an eternal format, when we get 10, 12, 15 sets, there will be enough cards to go in this deck. But as it stands right now, I don't see this deck making a very big impact.
Yeah, I mean, Darth Malik, the fact that that's only right. It's so interesting how a card that's only villainy as a unit or a spell would be a complete upside, but as a leader, it's such a drawback.
Yeah, easy to slot the just like villain units into any villain deck, but having to give up an entire other color is quite a drawback, and you would think that the ability you would be getting is going to make up for not having that color, but Darth Revan here just kind of seems a little weak, and like Mike said, we might just have to wait for more sets to come out and see if we get more cards that can synergize with him.
I think there's a decent argument too when they have really good cards, they don't necessarily have to put them on the fan favorite character because just dropping the fan favorite character is going to create enough hype. You can kind of balance your hype out a little bit more by Darth Revan, yay, and then just like some random commander that we never thought or random leader that we never thought about has like the really good ability. And that's why I mean, who cared about Kira before Kira
Whoa,
wasn't it?
whoa, be nice, be nice.
Hey,
I never liked
that movie
that lady.
movie's mid. The movie's mid.
Oof.
It's fun, but it's definitely not. I mean, hot take, whatever. I have fun watching Han Solo, but at the same time, that's not a top ranking Star Wars movie. And a secondary character from that movie is definitely not going to be, the fan favorite. Whereas Darth Revan, there's so many people who just freaking love that card and that character and those games, and I don't think it was necessary to put the insane abilities on that. Though it would have been crazy if FFG did that and really just made the fan service meta essentially.
Yeah, three experience counters. Dax gives 3 experience counters. Just completely break the game. That would be fun. For him. Why don't we just get put Django's ability on him. Let's get
Yeah.
Django back.
No.
So these are my 2 favorite cards from spoilers, and I think they might be the 2 most impactful cards if they do their things correctly. So, as I have foreseen, it's 1 mana for a Cunning Villain card, Force event. You look at the top card of your deck. You may use the Force, and if you do, you play a card. You play the card on top of your deck, and it costs 4 less. So obviously, resource cheating is a very good way of getting ahead in this game. You can play something that costs 5 on the first turn of the game, and I think if you pull that off and can do it consistently, you can easily just steamroll and win a ton of games. The same goes with Porg and why that's also on my list. It's a 0 mana unit on the ground. It's a 1/1 creature. I think this card will synergize really well with now there are 2 of them. You can put some of the new creatures that we have been told that we're getting into play for 5 mana on turn 2. And again, that would be another strong way of getting super ahead in the game.
I don't know how I feel about As I Have Foreseen. It's like I understand where you're coming from. I think this card is very reliant on how easy it will be to create your Force token beyond just those bases, right?
I know how I feel about this card, and it's not good. I think it's awful. I guess we're gonna have opposite takes on some of these cards, but like, this is just You're My Only Hope, but for villains. And how much play has You're My Only Hope seen? Like none, except for the Yoda decks. It's just too inconsistent to knock on the top of the deck and pray that there's a good card there. If there's a way you can build your deck that you're like super likely to be happy every time you knock and flip, then I think this card could see some play, but I don't think that's very likely, especially seeing that we've been through 4 sets and You're My Only Hope still isn't played outside of Yoda.
No, I'm just playing, as I've foreseen, all 5 cost cards and magical free ways to make the Force. And we're just going to go get people. It's going to be really fun.
And then you're gonna hit the As I Have Foreseen off the top
I'll play it
and not have a
and I'll
Force
play it
token.
again. No, I'll just do it again. Oh,
Now
no,
we
you're
have
You
right.
won't
Force
have 2
tokens.
Force tokens.
Oh, I'm such an idiot.
I'm in the Nikki camp with this. I think it's real cool, right? Like the days where you hit off this are going to be days that you talk about for a long time. I think it's just too much. You don't get to play it with Yoda, which would be like the obvious way to make this better. Um, I just don't see it. I'm ready to be wrong though, because this effect is very powerful. Like I do agree with your take on the upside of this card, but I just don't think that upside's a very real world scenario. Porg, on the other hand, Sexy Rexy got a new best friend.
Yes, I do want to try Porg in Rex, especially with its synergies with Maz Kanata, making it a 3/3 on turn 1, with another 1-drop and a Porg. So I might have to put out a advanced deck tech on Rex with Porg in it. So we'll see how that
It's
goes.
also kind of sick and twisted to think about Count Dooku sacrificing porgs to get separatists out earlier.
I will listen. I'll do whatever I got to do to a Porg to win the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Quote
I
it.
guess it's just double Lotus Petal in the Dooku. That's kind of cool.
There's going to be some worlds where porks are so much more interesting than they were ever supposed to be. It's another strong art, though. I like the one in the front that realized that there's a camera there.
This hyperspace is gonna be sick.
It's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Give me serialized porgs, please.
Serialized porgs. I want to own all of them. I'll give them each names.
So poor good, as I've foreseen bad. I think that's the conclusion
That's
we've come
that's our
to.
Unless
take,
you're Mike.
right?
Nah, put both on the deck. Now you got two combos.
Yeah, you got two combos.
Now there are two of them.
There have been people playing Set One Thrawn. I mean it's very fringe, but they're I mean especially over in Europe.
Hey,
I mean it's kind of a combo, but like is Thrawn really making the Force? Like, do you really want to be doing that? I don't know.
If you're playing Thrawn, I think this card's good. But I don't want to do that.
but you also need to
So
make the force.
I don't know. Maybe I would look at my first deck at a set 5 with Thrawn in it. Maybe that might happen.
I do like Thrawn set one leader as like just such a good control card. Django taught us that tapping down stuff is good. The Go Tall meta taught us that tapping down stuff is good. There's a world where Thrawn is actually like a very quality leader, and it's just not being properly explored.
to be fair though, Jenga didn't make you pay for it and if he flipped would let you do it a million times in a turn. But
Django's better.
Django.
I mean,
yeah,
Django,
oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
we're not making that argument.
Django
No,
is
I'm
banned for
aware
a
you're not
reason.
making that argument.
I do think that, like, I mean, all right. So, better example, Grogu. Grogu's pretty good, right? Just tapping down something. You know what I mean? Taking initiative and tapping down something. The Thrawn consistency is a little bit higher than I think people assume because it is based on top decks. But you get to tap down stuff a lot. I tried that deck early on. Um, Never really went back to the well on it, but it was fun in the days of like Vader Blue being the top control deck, and you're just like, I'll just go forever with you if you want. Like I have a good control leader. I'm just gonna keep outmaneuvering and tapping down your stuff, and then I'll super laser blast, clean it all up.
I will say, to kind of burn down my own take, one of the problems with, not problems, I should say, but one of the game mechanics is drawing two cards in a row. So it is a lot harder to set up because you don't see a card on top of your deck with Thrawn, then you're drawing it the next turn. Now I get to look at a new card. If your big cards get stuck to your small cards in a row like that, you are just going to get completely blown out. So I think it
So
will
it's
take a lot of deck construction. You'll have to jump through some hoops, but I think if there is a way to break this card, I would definitely look at trying to do that as soon as possible.
well, Thrawn, you look at the top card before or after you draw. So it's the same card for the entire phase. So you'll know if it's good to cast this card or not. And then I guess you just don't when it's not. You won't be able to do the super powerful, like insane starts. But again, you're playing Thrawn, like you're playing a control leader. Like being able to play this and then like rip an Avenger on turn 4 or 5, like that's still real good. And like you just kind of have to wait to get lucky and rip like that.
Yeah, I understand that I'll see it. I'll see the card that I'm trying to cast with As I Foreseen, but I just mean when you're drawing the cards, like you aren't going to always find, like you might draw your payoffs accidentally as that second card, so you're never actually going to see it on top of your deck. It might just get
Sure,
gummed up in your hand, is what I meant.
sure. Without a way to put stuff back on top like Yoda, you really are like missing some of the opportunities.
Yes, and they're
But we still
also
got a whole set to be spoiled, so maybe it'll come.
yes, and also I have thought about playing this card off of Aspect and paying the 3 to get one less. If I can play that in Yoda and do it with like Endless Legions and all my other fun stuff with You're My Only Hope, but
Endless
I thought,
Legions might be a stretch.
yeah, Endless Legions with As I've Seen might be a stretch. I don't think paying one less for that card is the best, obviously, but um, I'm interested. I'm interested in resource cheating. I think that's the next. I think we're getting more and more consistent ways to do that. Even with the Jedi counselor from earlier, if we can find ways to cheat on resources, we might have a new deck in the meta that emerges. So just going over some stuff that's upcoming for us. Most of us are going to the Rogue State Games PQ in Jersey this weekend. I will be there. I'm not sure what I'm playing yet. I believe the rest of us will be there. Do any of you know what you guys are playing this weekend?
I know what I'm playing. I don't know the 60. But I mean, is there a world where we're not playing Sabine? I can't imagine it.
Or is it 70?
It's not 70. I promise you, spoiler alert, nobody's going to need my deck list. It is not 70 cards. I actually had one guy in Richmond. So, as everybody on this call knows, but nobody who's listening knows, I not only double sleeve my cards, I'm a big fan of KMC Perfect Hards. So, my deck does look larger than a normal deck would. Most people pick it up and think it's a commander deck. And I had one guy in Richmond actually, as I presented deck, he counted every card. And I thought that was kind of funny. And it was funnier now that Data Vault's a thing. But yeah, no, we're keeping it tight. We're drawing our good cards. That's the plan.
I'm just gonna play 80 cards of Bean. Just go Europe ×2. Just really show them up.
Talk about next level.
Nick, do you know what you're on?
Something. We got a couple days. I'll figure it out. If I don't figure it out, it'll just be Sabine. But I've been really enjoying playing the Ray Data Vault deck. I've also been enjoying playing some more Han 1 green. So we'll come to a decision probably by like tomorrow. But those are the 3 decks that I'm juggling right now.
Nice.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a good testing session in tomorrow night leading up to the Saturday PQ and really be able to finalize our stuff. We'll keep that stuff off the podcast for now, but we'll be sure to talk about it next week when we cast again.
Mickey, are you playing Kira?
Mike,
Well, that's a good question. It's probably just gonna be Kira, right? Like that's just my default choice. I actually do really like the look of the Ray Data Vault deck. If it truly does have a positive matchup into Kira, and the Sabine matchup can be solved, that's 2 of the top players in the meta that you can go into a tournament feeling like you have a good matchup against. So I might try to put some time in with that deck towards the back end of this week and see if I can get the Sabine matchup right where I want it. I know
everybody says they can solve a Sabine matchup. Nobody actually can.
Don't make me bring out Ray Colossus that I had to play against in Richmond.
Don't talk to me about Ray Colossus. I did beat that deck on stream.
Hey, prove me wrong.
Shout out KTOD. They let me stream on their channel or in their Discord. If you're a KTOD member, keep an eye out for me. I will be popping up and streaming every now and then. But yeah, on that stream, I get Ray Dadavault. Funny story from that stream was me starting out and being like, "Hey guys, champ here," and thinking that I was hot stuff, and getting immediately just served by this Kira Dadavault player who just stomps me game 1. I'm like, no big deal. Request a rematch. He takes it, stomps me again. It was a bit of a humbling experience. I do still think that matchup's fine, but man, humbling experience. But then I got my kit back against a Ray Colossus, and I felt pretty good.
This game will humble you. It happens.
Man, it's tough. I mean, even in Richmond, I played a mirror against one of the guys in the KTOD Discord, and I win the match. But game 2, I never dealt a point of damage to him before I scooped. Like, it was just like I play a unit, he ECL'd into my unit and lives. Then he piloted up or something, and like I played something. Then he like killed my guy again and did all kinds of damage to me. It was kind of insane. Like I said, I won the match. It was fine, but game 2, humbling experience.
Alrighty. Well, that wraps it up for our second podcast here with all the guys. We want to thank you guys for your continued support. If there's more content and things that you want to see from us, please continue to comment and give us your ideas and feedback. Enjoy going through the comments and learning and getting better as we're on this journey together. And thank you to everybody who's been shouting out the podcast, putting it out there. We've mentioned the KTOD guys a bunch. Golden Dice and some others have also put our names out there, so we appreciate you guys. And if there's anything that you guys want to do together, we'd be open to doing that as well.
Absolutely. I stopped by late night gaming stream and saw a couple of the guys that I met when I was in Richmond, and they were super kind. I was talking to them. They were shouting out our video. Check out our YouTube videos. Those are getting views. We need more. Do all the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Just if you're enjoying us, we're enjoying you. Like we do appreciate everybody who's been watching. The sudden growth. I mean, we just started. And where we're at right now, we are so thankful for. We've gotten a lot more support than we expected to start out with, and we're hyped for it. That just inspires us to make more, to put out more content, to do more stuff for you guys, and just keep it up. Like, keep telling us what to do. Keep telling us what kind of stuff you want to see. Ask us questions. Like I said at the beginning, we're men of the people. Don't feel bad reaching out to us. We love interacting with the community. I think Star Wars, me personally, I'm coming from a Magic background, and I mean, Magic does have a very good community, but there are parts of the Magic community that are just frustrating to deal with. There's a lot of Magic players that are frustrating to deal with. I haven't felt that way once about Star Wars, with the exception of the Twin Suns crowd, but that's a separate story.
We might have to cut that
The
out.
community's great. Everybody is so friendly. And like I love going to these big events. I can't wait for the PQ just as much to play as to see all the people that I get to see at PQs. It's a really cool community. I don't know how else to describe that. All the people who have come up to me, who have messaged me, who I get to see on a regular basis at these big tournaments, like it makes it all worth it. It's this is the most fun I've ever had playing a trading card game, and not just because I've been winning at it, like genuinely because of the community. So shout out you guys too.
Alrighty. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Peace.